ladies and gentlemen, it's Wednesday night. You know what that means. It's time for the Greg Terry Show alongside the reigning WTC Jack of all trades champion, Jeff Meacham, and the WTC champion. I still haven't put the belt up yet from this past weekend, which we'll get into.
I didn't have a belt. Don't feel bad. I didn't have one yet. So,
but yes, it was definitely a lot of fun this weekend. Talking about Big G's wedding. For those that don't know, he got married this past Saturday, and the wedding and the reception was a lot of fun. We'll get into that in just a little bit. That's actually one of our topics for today's show.
Yes.
Because we're going to be talking about Big G's wedding and reception. Might not go too in depth with it, but just a little bit of a recap. There is a lot to talk about here, though, because football season is back. The NFL starts tomorrow. And if you want, we're not going to go in depth with picks. If you want to see who we picked this upcoming week, go check out Stat Boys Sports Bar. We did that yesterday. So if you want to
appreciate that plug, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. After this, obviously, because you want to watch us. Go check out Stat Boys Sports Bar after this. We also got some weird state laws. Yes, we brought the segment back last week. Just because the weird thoughts were not really up to snuff, in my opinion.
They were right. Yeah. The weird state laws are always better because we all live in separate states as we're watching this. So to see somebody else's part of the country and the weird shit they go through, it's like, all right then. So.
All right, and of course, naturally, the Wednesday Q&A. I do want to bring this up before we get into the show. Tim Phillips says, "Evening, everybody. I know this isn't wrestling related, but did any of you get to see the captain going into the Hall of Fame this afternoon?" Yes, Derek Jeter is now a Hall of Famer. Absolutely.
As if there's any doubt he was going in the first place. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Jeter, Jeter for all intent. I mean, very few people grow beyond the brand. Like, there was wrestling and then there was Hulk Hogan. There was basketball and there was Michael Jordan. There was the Yankees and then there was Derek Jeter. I mean, he was that franchise for a minute. So, congratulations.
He's still associated with the Yankees.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
Even after he's been retired for how many years? If you think about the Yankees, especially if you grew up in the 90s, 2000s, you're going to think about Derek Jeter because there was no bigger face of the franchise. And I don't know if there is now. Aaron Judge may be close, but Derek Jeter is the New York Yankees. I mean,
it's for our generation, Derek Jeter's the Yankees. That's just the way it is. I mean, our father's generation, our parents' generation, Mickey Mantle, and before that, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and all those guys. So, but in our lifetime, at least, Derek Jeter has been the face of the Yankees. So
transitioning from that to this past weekend, our buddy Big G, you've seen him on the show numerous times, especially talking about football.
Yes.
I'm sure he's sad to miss this. He might not be sad to miss this. He's spending time with his new
He's at Disney World, for Christ's sakes.
yeah, he's not missing us at all.
He doesn't give a shit what's going on right now, except the fact that he's in Star Wars land today. So
he'll watch the Steelers game on the plane back. It's fine.
That's it.
Anyway, Big G went and got married this past Saturday. Obviously, that's been a big deal. He was supposed to get married back in April, but
damn pandemic,
But it was a lot of fun. I got to see Virtue for the first time since God.
It's been a minute since any y'all saw any y'all. So
I know, but especially Virtue because I think it was obviously both seeing him and Aaron were both pre-pandemic.
Yeah, it was.
Virtue was here for a poker night.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure it was that poker night he had at your house. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Aaron, the last time I saw him, he was just passing through Pennsylvania. And
right.
We stopped to get dinner together, but.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that unfortunately did not happen. I haven't seen any of you guys in person. The longest is obviously Virtue. Never seen him in person. You and Jen, it'll be 9 years in January. Aaron and Caitlin came out here 2 years ago, I want to say, in February of 19, because I'm still working for that god-awful restaurant, and I hung out with them before I went to my shift. So it's been a minute since I've seen anybody. I mean, it's funny. I actually got a message from Bailey's son's father today. Like, he hasn't talked to me in a year and a half, just out of nowhere. And, like, I guess I don't know if he's in Cincinnati for Dynamite, which, by the way, top of the hour, Dynamite, Wednesday night, you know what that means. But, I mean, I don't know if he's in, but, like, he just happened to mention that he talked to Noah. I'm like, okay, haven't heard from you in 18 months, but cool. So it's just weird that this pandemic has separated us, but it's definitely starting to settle down, and it was so cool to see all you guys together. I was laughing my ass off at the Judas thing. That was tremendous. The entrances themselves were all just fabulous. Of course, you know, you and the Shane O'Mac thing just was awesome, as you do. So great stuff. I'm looking forward to celebrating with everybody once I get the hell out of this state.
At some point, it was actually the first time I had met Caitlin in person.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
It's never a bad thing to meet people you've known for a long time, see them up close, and get all dolled up and pretty for an occasion. You know, I mean, really, you guys all looked fabulous. So, you know, it was good stuff. It was good times. I dug the whole green color scheme for the groomsmen. That was kind of cool. I enjoyed that choice.
As did I. I mean, green's my favorite color, so obviously I wasn't gonna say no to that.
So yeah, it was a cool. It was. I'm glad you guys were able to post pictures and videos. I mean, I told both your wife and Caitlin, please send me pictures. It sucks. And Jen freaking came through in a pinch, man. Yeah. God bless your wife. I'll tell you what, it was awesome to see all the happy faces and just know that it's good to see a relationship actually endure this hot garbage we're dealing with right now in this world and still get to the altar. We got to get the boss man down there next. He's next to the gallows, the altar. So we gotta get him there, man. It's just so
gallows.
Yes. We should invite the Good Brothers to Aaron's wedding just cause.
No,
just to cause shenanigans.
I was gonna say Carl Anderson and bury it.
Good night, everybody. Anyway,
but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I actually helped a couple of the groomsmen and a couple of the bridesmaids with their entrances because everybody in the party had wrestling-related entrances.
Of course.
So naturally, if you're going to talk about wrestling entrances, who are you going to go to?
Exactly. I mean, you know, if we're not there together as a team to do it, yeah, definitely got to get you involved in it. But I found it so, I know, like, irony's a very overly used word, I'm not going to lie, but I found it so cool that while you guys, you know, were doing the entrances, Big G made it the point that he was doing an NWO thing. I thought that was so cool. And while you guys were doing wrestling entrances, I was literally across the country also doing an NWO thing. Yeah. I was like, right on. That was so cool. And I'm glad that I was able to be there in spirit through meeting up with Scott and Kevin. So that was cool.
I'm sure that was a good time.
You know, I said it. Hello. I said it a few times during the day while I was there getting my ass, you know, sunburned, you know, almost first-degree burn sunburn. I had not seen Scott and Kevin in person together since Turning Point 2004. And none of the three of us were in a right state of mind to remember that conversation. Let's put it that way. You guys saw XMV if you back then. You know how bad I was. Scott and Kevin are pretty much, you know, holding court in the back of the fight. Like, you know, hi, how are you? Pretty much. So it was wonderful to see Scott in the state of mind he's in nowadays, which is so such a relief for Scott Hall friends, Scott Hall fans. It's awesome. And Kevin is just, you know, you hear on DVDs, he's Cool Hand Luke. He's so that guy. He's just whatever. He's just chilling back, you know. I had to do a retake because the guy bossed the picture, and he's like, "Where's your mask?" I'm like, "I'm vaccinated." He goes, "All right, if I get sick, I'm coming back here kicking your ass." I'm like, "It means you're coming back to California. I'll take it." So it was a fun day. Like I said, I paid for it the next day in an aloe vera bath. Let's put it that way. Oof, no fun. And then I got to go down to Pasadena and do the Haddonfield thing for some Halloween stuff. So it was a good weekend for everybody, and I'm glad that was the case because we really get to come on here and talk about just stuff outside of the business. I know me and Scott and Kevin's not outside the business, but just doing stuff outside, going out our front doors, going to have fun somewhere. And everybody got to do that this last weekend. It was so nice. It was so good. I do want to bring it up. I know it's not on the topic list. I did want to bring it up really quickly here. I did this yesterday on Mikey's show too. After our show last week, something terrible happened on Instagram Live, and then the course of that evening. I do want to say again our condolences to Shannon's family and everybody. And I'm telling you guys, not only is this month Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, which is important to me because I was in the hospital with my kiddo, not with cancer, but seeing so many kids that just deal with this crap every day of their lives. It's awful. There's also this month. Please don't feel like anybody that watched this show, my shows, Aaron's shows, do not feel like you can't reach out to even anybody on this channel if you're in a place where you feel like this is the option. There are people out there you can reach out to, so please don't feel like that's not the case because I said it going into the meeting, like being able to go up meet with Scott and Kevin was such a relief because those three, I didn't sleep until after that meet and greet and after that day in Pasadena. Like I was up for 3 days because of what happened on Wednesday night. So please, if you're in a place like that, you don't have to be.
Yeah. I really hope that video is off of Instagram.
It never actually went into the point where it was saved in the file. I don't think she intended it to. I think she was just saying her intentions, for lack of a better term. And
while I was watching Dynamite last week, I clicked on it, and my gosh, it was the most heartbreaking thing I think I've seen in a very, very long time.
What's so bad, Greg, is we were here last week together. I was so out of it during our show that I didn't really tune in what was happening until it was far too late, obviously. I haven't talked to Shannon in years as far as in person. We communicate here and there over, social media or whatnot. But, I said it over the week. It was really bad because Saturday morning on the way down to where the hell I went Saturday to see the Inland Empire, they reported that, the welfare check was anything but.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to sit here and criticize Georgia laws because that's the segment on the show we're going to do in a few weeks. I don't understand why this had to be a thing between her being on video for as long as she was. Something should have been done. And outside of just, hey, reach out to somebody if you feel like that. But there's a lot of stuff that went down in that area of Georgia last week that I am gonna have to sit here and process for a long time. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not gonna lie.
It was one of those things where like I kept going back because I was hoping like something like positive would happen, but at the same time, it's like if she does this like on air, like that was the thing I was scared about. The way
same with me.
She was going to do that, and like people were going to watch it happen. It's like
and what was sickening is just people just decided to post it for the sake of promoting their shows or their podcasts or whatever. It's like, man, grow up. Like, get a freaking life. Get over yourselves. You don't need that kind of clickbait on your damn website. It's report the news, do your job as a quote unquote journalist, and then knock that shit off. Seriously. Anyway.
One last thing. Like I know I don't know many people like in the wrestling business deep. So like when I saw you like post that thing on Facebook, which was not a link to the video, mind you.
No.
When I saw you post that, I went to the Instagram. I was and I DM'd Sean Ross Sapp because I know like he's one of the he knows more people than I know, obviously.
Right.
So I don't know if that had anything to do with it or somebody else told him, but I was like, if you know somebody, like, tell people, like, tell
Seriously
anybody who could get help.
Seriously, I put it up there because I hope my reach would reach further. And you hear the story that from Franny and from April and everybody. It's just like, man, where were these people 6 hours ago? Like, what? And God, poor Lexi Fire. Good grief, man. She was just flipping her shit, rightfully so. But it's like Shannon didn't tell anybody where she was moving to. Nobody had her address. And I find out later that her mom was there when the police showed up. It's like, man, how is that door not? Anyway, I'm going to get too much in the damn weeds here, and it's just going to be ugly. So just please, y'all reach out if you're feeling that play. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we're not like a big name show by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
We're still here to listen.
Yeah, exactly. And, I pointed out to Tim, put the comment up there, I pointed out that's 3 people I've met in the last, or I've known in wrestling in the last 5 years that have made that choice. Again, I don't know for sure with Joni. We'll never know for sure with Joni because Joni was Joni. But it's hard. It's the hardest. I heard this said on somebody's memorial video a long time ago. The hardest thing to do in this world is to live in it. And it's true, but you have to. Because the option of leaving people behind after that choice is just far worse than people in that moment realize, I think.
All right, there's no way to transition to this.
No, but you know what? It's good though because now we've got something positive to focus on. Even though the Cowboys are going to get trounced by the champions tomorrow, it is what it is.
We're going to talk some football and wrestling. I mean, college football happened this past weekend.
Yes, that's true.
And Georgia did have something to celebrate as they beat Clemson.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Like,
I was surprised.
They didn't let Clemson score a touchdown. Like, it seemed very... And here's the frustrating thing about that game. I mean, when Georgia beat Clemson, granted, they only scored 3 points on them. It's like, oh, look at how good Georgia is. Georgia only scored 10. It's like...
Yeah,
it's not like you blew Clemson. If Georgia would have won like 35-3 or something, that would have been one thing. But
right.
It's like you only won by 1 score. Like, don't be celebrating.
Yeah. You won a 10-3 game against Clemson. Yeah, you beat Clemson, but they only scored a field goal. Like, let's not have a freaking victory parade down the entire state block just yet here.
Also. Like I mentioned in my reaction video, I did not watch All Out Live.
Right.
Notre Dame football was on. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If I have to choose between professional wrestling and Notre Dame football, I know I'm the WTC champion, but I'm choosing Notre Dame football. Like, it's just who I am. I can't.
Yeah. And I felt like a heel completely because again, last week was what it was, but I got through Saturday with, when you do stuff like that, you get yourself up. You're meeting Hall and Nash like that you get your shit together for. And then I go down to, Pasadena / Haddonfield for the rest of the night. Literally, I was out till freaking 2:00. I slept through the buy-in. I felt so bad. Poor Noah Foster, dude. I freaking jumped on the air at 10 till 5, like, okay, here you go. And here's Noah. I feel like shit. All right. And nobody's heard this out loud till now. I slept through the entire pay-per-view. I had my graphic up with Noah there. That way people knew I was there. I was not there. I talk about all out. I was all gone, like night. I only woke up, God bless Noah, when he was screaming about Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson walking out there, which, by the way, yay! Bryan Danielson again. He's the American Dragon again, and I'm overjoyed for that, by the way. And of course, Adam Cole, again, we're both fans of Adam Cole, and we're both fans of the soon-to-be Mrs. Adam Cole, definitely. So to see them both in the same company now and to wonder what's going to happen tonight, in about 40 minutes here, I'm just so jazzed to see what's going to happen with all these people in this company.
Mm.
It's going to be a good, I mean, people are worried about the roster getting too big, and I can kind of understand that. But, you know, you can never have enough quality talent, and that's the difference. You know, when WWE's on the hiring spree and, you know, on that, you know, hoarding, you know, phase, yeah, they had a lot of talent on contract, but how many people are actually getting used on TV every single week? I'll wait. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you figure they have Dynamite.
Yeah.
They have Rampage now. They have Dark, and they have Dark Elevation. They are spreading out their talent where they use them on all of those shows. And really, they're all kind of canon, if you think about it. Because
definitely.
What happens on Dark? What happens on Dark Elevation? Every show matters. And I think that's why people don't mind tuning into the not necessarily higher level shows, like the B shows like Dark and Dark Elevation. They like tuning into that because they get to see wrestling and it all matters in the end. When you tune into main event, nobody cares because it's basically like you're watching a dark match.
Yeah.
Like a legit dark match.
Right. And see, the concept of AEW Dark was originally, you know, okay, yeah, these are dark matches, but we want people to be showcased in case, you know, somebody gets a bite, you know, whatever. So I was funny. I was putting this show together for after Full Gear, and it's gonna be the Monday after. There, that's okay. You can take it. It's fine. So I was putting the roster list up, and I ended up dividing it. I was like, okay, main event picture, TNT, like, you know, the World Championship list, the TNT list, the teams and groups, which is plentiful, the women's division, and then the guys you're not going to see contend for the championships all the time, but they'll be on Dark, they'll be on Elevation. They are in good shape to run those 4 shows a week easily, and that's a good thing. You know, you talked about, you know, the WWF roster when they bought WCW and how they had Raw and SmackDown where people actually, you know, existed for real. And like you just said, if you weren't on one of those 2 shows, nobody gave a spit about you. Because, oh, you're on Velocity. What time is that on in the morning again? 2:00? Yeah. You know, it's one of those things. You know, it was like you were tucked away in ECW land in the 90s, but people were actually watching that like they were ECW. So
the only time Velocity mattered was when there was a cruiserweight title change on Velocity and Mr. Kennedy debuted. That's it.
Right? Exactly. Like, I remember distinctly Bryan Danielson's first match on TV in WWE being on Velocity against John Cena. Like, I remember that vividly. But, okay. But that was how many years ago now? So, you know, it's one of those things where AEW is in good shape. And, like, I can't wait to do that show. I'm doing a City WWE show the following week after Survivor Series. So those are going to be 2 very different shows. For sure, especially if things progress the way they are. Speaking of things the way they are, Triple H had a procedure this morning, apparently. And, dude, I said it on my Twitter, and it sounded really corny and kiss-assy. We both know as fans and as, you know, viewers of this, the product, the brand long-term, Hunter is all heart. So for his heart to need a procedure, man, he'll bounce back. And he'll be stronger than ever. And hopefully get something to do besides sit there and twiddle his thumbs that NXT means he doesn't run anymore. But, yeah. So.
All right. So I'm going to talk about the Notre Dame Florida State game.
Okay. I'm sorry.
You might want to take a deep seat here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm gonna get comfy and get the freaking censor button ready. Oh, boy.
So, Notre Dame has a new defensive coordinator.
Yes, they do.
Who I am not impressed by. I was not impressed by the play calling in the second half whatsoever. The run defense, you need one. The pass defense wasn't bad. Kyle Hamilton had 2 picks. Right. So, I can't fault the pass defense too much. They had 3 picks overall.
Right.
There are a couple issues I have with that game in general.
Definitely.
And this is me complaining about it, even though they won. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So my My biggest complaint, though, is I believe it was during overtime where the quarterback went back. The quarterback for Florida State went back, went to throw the ball, lost the ball, and jumped on it.
Yeah.
And they ruled it a fumble initially.
Yes, they did.
And then overturned it to an incomplete pass. Let me ask everybody something. Everybody who watches football. If you move your arm forward and it goes down straight in front of you,
fumble.
And well, not only that,
yeah.
If you're not going to roll a fumble and you're going to roll an incomplete pass, if it only goes about 6 inches in front of you, is that not freaking intentional grounding? You're in the pocket. The ball doesn't make it anywhere close to the line of scrimmage. Where's the intentional grounding?
Yeah.
But no, we're going to move the ball forward about 10, 15 yards so you can have a closer field goal, which they shanked, fortunately.
Right.
And it was actually kind of funny because, like, as much as the referees were trying to give that game to Florida State, that call might have actually screwed them.
Yeah.
Because kicker, before they called the timeout to review the play, actually made like a 50-yard field goal, but it didn't count. Then you move it closer, and you iced him, and he misses it. So I felt like it was almost justice for all the terrible calls that went against Notre Dame that game.
Yeah. It's crazy. And Josh with the comment, and he's not wrong. Oh, man. It's true, though. And I think for non-Catholics, like, I root for Notre Dame every week. But if they're playing Ohio State, yeah, it's a tough game for me. So, anyway, yeah, it was one of those games where it just, like, everything was done to try to rob the Irish of that game, except, like, drive a tank through the stadium and run them over. So,
yeah. Well, in that same vein, everybody was upset about the comment that Brian Kelly made after the game went over, which I think everybody needs to understand the context of that. He was trying to make a reference to an old football joke from like the 1970s. He'd be like, "What do you think about your player's execution?" "I'm for it." That was basically what the joke was. Like, he wasn't happy with how the players played on the field, so it was like,
yeah.
And of course, in 2021, it's not a well thought out joke.
No, not so much.
Everything's like, "Oh my gosh, why would you say that?" But it really should not be that big a deal. It should not be a talking point. I don't even know why I'm talking about it.
I don't either. It's okay.
Other than the fact that a lot of people were. It's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. They got to focus this week.
Yep.
It shouldn't be as tough of a game. They're back at home. So.
Right. So before we get to the weird state laws, I wanted to bring it back to wrestling really quick here. I meant to ask you this yesterday while we were off air with Mikey, but I put a poll up on my Twitter as well as the Jeff Meacham Network group on Facebook. I want to ask you right here, point blank in front of the world here, which of these do you think is the most likely to happen next?
Next?
Yeah.
Well, I believe that Strowman, I guess Adam Scherr and the Inspiration, their no competes are up. Like, they're 90
right.
Up.
Right.
Flair can just kind of do whatever he wants.
Because he's Ric Flair, damn it. That's right. So.
And with Wyndham being his 90 days still aren't up, I don't believe.
Yeah, I don't think he can actually appear. I mean, the first show for them after his non-compete is actually Full Gear. So, as far as pay-per-view wise, he can always show up on Dynamite the week before or whatever. But
if they didn't just debut Ruby Soho, I would say the Inspiration would be a good shout.
Agreed. Yep.
Just because Ruby debuted, they're not going to debut more women in the women's division yet.
Right.
So, of those four, I think the safer bet would be Flair.
Yeah. It's funny, like, Wyndham's winning the vote, and I'm thinking to myself, they know his non-compete's not up, right? So we'll see. We'll see. The vote ends Monday before I go on for talk. Before Aaron goes on the air for his Raw recap. So we'll see. But I agree with you on the women's roster thing, because man, that women's roster again. We were lamenting how not too long ago about their women's division. All of a sudden, man, it's the talk of the business again. Yep. So, and I'm grateful for that, because not to pour too much on here, but I'm gonna do it anyway. The doctor has definitely carried that ball down to the end zone, man. She is the baddest bitch, and she's definitely showing it. And man, what a weekend she had. And I can't wait. If the inspiration shows up, man, that's going to be interesting, because Britt is justifiably very full of her own shit.
Yeah.
But so are Cassie and Jesse. I mean, and figure if Britt's there and her hubby's there, and then Cassie shows up and her hubby's there, I'm all about that mixed tag match. I'll tell you that right now. That's going to be a badass little match.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sean Spears can go. They just need to turn him more loose than they already have. I mean, the chair with the baseball bat was kind of funny as hell. That was a tremendous moment to see. That was great. But they need to do that on TV with him, not just have some random, baseball thing. They need to put him out there on Dynamite, out there on Rampage, and let him go. He's talented as hell.
I mean, look at the match that he had with Sammy Guevara a couple weeks ago.
Right?
That was a great match. It's like, the crowd was super into it. I don't know if the Inner Circle versus Pinnacle thing is still going on or loosely going on or whatever.
Right, yeah.
But I don't know why they don't give more time to more than just Jericho and MJF. And I feel like their feud is over. I feel like...
Max won 3 times, but Jericho decidedly won that match on Sunday. So I have to believe that's over. So again, if that's over, and by proxy the Inner Circle Pinnacle thing's over, you can still do the offshoots. Sean Spears versus whoever, Sammy versus whoever, But I mean, you've got guys, on both sides that have plenty of other programs they can jump into. And I know we're going to do Q&A later, but Anthony, check out this channel on Monday, Greg's channel on Monday, because fantasy football was definitely a thing.
This past Monday, I should say.
This past Monday, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Josh and I did a fantasy football draft this past Monday. I've already done 2 this year. I don't think I'm going to do any more, because the season starts tomorrow. I'm not going to do it.
Exactly.
Makes no sense.
But check it out, because he's doing the fantasy football thing, and he's also Statboy's first pick'em challenger for his show. So Greg's all up into football. So for this week at least, for sure, for the whole season.
I might start adding a fantasy football recap to the Greg Cherry Show, because
that works.
I mean Wednesday is in between weeks. It actually works out great for this show, because
I was going to say,
weeks start on Thursday and they have a final game on Monday. And as long as there's no, Ravens BS, there won't be a Wednesday game.
It's going to be it's going to be a season with you in Baltimore again, isn't it?
It's always a season with me in Baltimore. I can't stand the Ravens.
I know. Oh, geez. Yeah, it's hard to like them on principle, man, because they took the Browns away from Cleveland for a while too. It's just assholes. Anyway, and last year was what it was. So, luckily it's over. I'm just grateful that there's more protocols in place now, where we won't have, hopefully, stuff like we did last season, because last season was rough.
And that's the reason I didn't do fantasy last year, because I figured it was going to be such a giant cluster of everything going on. There'd be regulations on top of this, and some players are sitting out all season because they don't want to deal with it. It's like, oh my gosh, like it's going to be a nightmare to draft teams. And
it was, Things
should be relatively back to normal.
Right.
I'm not saying they are completely, but they're relatively more normal than they were last year.
Yes. Exactly.
I guess that's as close as I can say because it's not back to normal. I don't think it ever will be.
I was just going to say that's been the talk. Like, things are never going to be where they were in January of 2020. We're never getting back to that place. People need to stop deluding themselves. We'll have a version of normal, but it won't be like it was. You know, as long as this thing keeps mutating and variating and whatever. You know. All right. So we ended another segment on Downer. So.
Enjoy football like normal people.
Right. I mean, right. at least stadiums are open. Man, I was so tickled to be at a football stadium a couple weekends ago, even if it was wrestling. I mean, you figure the seats I got upgraded to, had they been in a Raiders game, 50-yard line, like solid ass seats. So yeah, awesome. it was cool. Like, I mean, yeah, it's a Raiders home, so whatever. But I was in a football stadium and I was on the 50-yard line for something, man. It was amazing. So,
and you got to see Edge's Brood entrance. So there you go.
It's funny where I was, like, I didn't realize it was happening. I looked, you could like kind of see the video turn out like shit, of course, but it was a cool moment. I mean, you and I are Attitude Era fans. To hear that music, to see that fire pit, to see Edge in that mode, pretty friggin' cool.
Yeah, and it's a shame that like it didn't get more of a pop.
Yeah,
I mean. You'd be able to tell better than anybody, but it's like,
right?
I'm like, how can you not pop for one of the best entrance themes of all time?
Well, I mean, not to be graphic on your show, but I think kind of blew their wad on that on Friday. That's the thing. It was the day before when he did the whole brood bath thing, so people were still coming down from the actual. Oh my God, it's going to happen! And then, we got the entrance, and then it stopped, and we went into rated R. Edge, so it was like we didn't really have a chance to process it, I guess.
Well, I mean, the initial pop for the Brood music should have.
That was the initial pop. Like I said, I don't know how well it translated on TV. I haven't watched the whole thing back yet, but those 50,000 people were into it. I'll tell you that. So,
all right,
it was neat. It was one of those. That's a neat moment for a 30-year fan like me. So, 31 next month.
We're gonna hit up some weird state laws. Out of the state of Alaska. Remember, as always, if you guys want to, feel free to donate. I'd like to get a wheel spin. I don't think I had one last week, so if you want to get one,
we did have one briefly.
We did have one because right. I told Brett that I would give him one because he donated for the Jack of All Trades post show, which I also want to bring this up. Okay. That last Jack of All Trades post show
will be the last Jack of All Trades.
It is probably going to be the last Jack of All Trades post show. And probably the last WTC post show because the post show, it gets some decent interaction, but
right.
people are there for the actual match. We may do a post show for the one coming up in a couple weeks.
Right.
But that's because it's going to be live, so we can actually interact with all you guys.
Yeah. It's the post show was designed originally to carry the promotion over from one brand to the other because the matches themselves were on Greg's channel. And when I was champion and when I was hosting, we wanted to get the rub all over the place. So we put it on Greg's channel, on my channel, for a while on WQ's channel. So we wanted to get that rub cross-branded, but lately it's just been kind of like, we've been spinning our wheels like, okay, like there's like a few people here and the interaction wasn't as solid as it was. So figure let's just not, but you said we have a live show, God help me, in a couple of weeks when I'm defending the title. So,
yeah.
Anyway. All right. Alaska. These guys are weird anyway. I mean, like Josh said, it's Fish, Bears, and Sarah Palin. So right off the bat, you're weird in general.
All right. So let's get into some weird Alaska laws. The first one, moose may not be viewed from an airplane.
All right. So if you're still on the plane landing in Alaska, are you still considered, not in the jurisdiction of the Alaskan government?
I don't know. Like, I thought like airplanes were like.
Yeah, they had their own, governmental jurisdiction, as it were.
Like it was like international, like it's kind of, you're not actually on the ground, so you're not on
Yeah, property. Yeah, it's
because you're in the air of Alaska. I don't know why that, unless you're specifically taking a plane up to look at moose.
Right.
Why?
Because they're Alaskan.
Yes.
But yeah, if you're flying into Alaska and you look in and don't see a moose, you're not flying into Alaska. I'm just throwing it out there. So, anyway, too funny.
Yeah, go ahead. In that same vein, it is considered an offense to push a live moose out of a moving airplane. I would hope so.
Wouldn't it be? Should it be illegal to push a live anything out of a plane? I mean, that's.
You would think.
I mean, unless you have a parachute, you're committing murder. Yeah, if they're not wearing a parachute, you're committing murder in front of people.
On that same vein of animal cruelty.
Oh God, here we go.
A phrase I never thought I'd say in my life.
Right?
No one may tie their pet dog to the roof of a car. That should be a law everywhere.
Having flown off the roof of a car, I advocate for this.
Yeah.
For real.
Like, you should not have your dog on the roof of a car, even if it is tied down.
The only thing you should have tied to the roof of a car that is a creature is if it's no longer living because you were hunting, okay? I'm advocating hunting. Let me get out there. I'm not going to get into that freaking down that rabbit hole. But, you know, if you done killed something, yeah, on the roof of your car so you're not dragging it, that's fine. But if the thing's alive, especially a poor dog, like the dogs are freaked out enough in the car as it is, man. Jesus.
There are a lot of moose laws in here. Like
I can't imagine why.
What are you Alaskans doing with moose? Like,
what is there to do up there?
It is considered an offense to feed alcoholic beverages to a moose. I'm more concerned what your intentions are of feeding alcohol to a moose.
Yeah, what? Oh, God, there's
how many drunk moose have there been that this became an issue? And like, okay, you're cut off. The moose are cut off.
That's right.
Leave my bar. Why did you bring a moose in here? I don't get it.
See, this is okay. So this is why Rocky wasn't flying squirrel. He wasn't flying. Bullwinkle was just too drunk to notice that he wasn't. Wow.
I mean, that explains a lot for the cartoon, but
yeah, well, not a whole lot to explain for that cartoon. They were out there. Anyway.
Persons may not live in a trailer as it is being hauled across the city.
Okay. Well, okay. There's a way to interpret that could make more sense. If they're actually in the trailer while it's moving, yeah, that's not good. But if that's their home and you're just moving it, okay, yeah, but that it is what it is. But if they're actually existing and their living situation is while the thing's moving, especially if you're going all the way across, because that's a big state, you're going to be on that truck for a minute. So, like, I get that, but yeah, if I mean, I've had my trailer moved, from across the state. So anyway.
Chalk this up to duh.
Yeah.
It is against the law to attempt to break any law in Title IX of the Code, public peace, morals, and welfare. Let me just repeat that if you missed it.
Okay.
It is against the law to attempt to break any law. You don't need the rest of it, quite frankly, because no shit.
Yeah, it's
against the law to attempt to break the law.
So wait, next you're gonna tell me the sky in Alaska is really clear because it's fucking cold and nothing going on out there.
That's like saying snow is white because it's snow.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
It's like
thanks for providing me actual no information. People discuss this.
I know. They're actually in the legislature. They're in the state capitol going, okay, this is actually happening.
Sat down to elected officials sat down, discussed this in length.
And to think their governor was almost our vice president. That's some scary shit.
They couldn't have been worse than who we've had recently.
Well, no, I grant you that, but like she was appealing for two reasons and had nothing to do with her hairstyle. I'm just saying, she was a hot mess for real. Like, anyway.
And not a great singer either. She was on The Masked Singer one season.
That's right. I forgot about that. Oh, wow. Now it's in my head again. Thanks.
Let's see. Employers of bars may not let their bartenders serve while they are drunk themselves.
Well,
that at least makes sense.
That at least makes sense. And no, Daniel, they're not drunk. The moose are drunk, apparently. That's the problem. Yeah.
But not the bartenders, because they're not
the bartenders. That's right. So the bartenders aren't drunk, but somehow the moose are getting drunk anyway. Okay.
Owners of flamingos may not let their pet into barber shops. Who's walking a flamingo down the main road in Alaska?
Don't flamingos need like that, the opposite of what the air and the temperature is up there in Alaska? Like, do they need like warm temperatures?
How many people have flamingos in Alaska?
So so they have flamingos and mooses, and mooses. It's not moose. Moose as pet, like moose and squirrel. Jeez. Oh Lord.
Buildings that preserve scenic vistas are awarded bonus points by the government.
I like that. That's okay.
But bonus points for what?
Well, maybe building maintenance, or code looking the other way, or whatever. The government bonus points can mean anything in the government. We know this.
I mean, I read it as like, hey, I need some help in my science class. If I have a building that preserves a scenic vista, I'm going to get some bonus points and get an A. Yeah.
Extra credit.
That's how I read it. Like, bonus points I've always associated with school and like assignments.
The fact that the phrase bonus points is in an actual state law of one of our 50 states makes me just like shake my head more than I should.
One may not roam the city with a bow and arrows. Sorry, okay. Damian Priest, you can't go.
That's right. That's right. But he's our U.S. champion. He can represent that state as champion. At least for now, anyway. Until Extreme Bulls when Sheamus gets back again.
Persons may not allow attractive nuisances to exist.
What the? Read that again. Read that again.
This might be the last one we do for Alaska, but persons may not allow attractive nuisances to exist.
Okay. What does that even mean?
Like an attractive nuisance, like they drive you nuts, but they're hot. I guess.
Yeah, so if your girlfriend's hot but she's a pain in the ass, you can't bring her outdoors. Like what the?
But they may not allow them to exist. Like, so is it the Hunger Games out here in Alaska? It's like, oh, she's hot, but she drives me crazy. Bam, kill shot. Like, how does that?
Well, the thing is, you can do it. You just can't do it on a plane and kill a moose at the same time. That's the thing. You got to make sure you divvy it up properly. And don't get the moose drunk before you throw him off the plane. That's the key. It's all illegal. The whole thing's illegal. Wow, that may be that's going to be a hard state to top. And we're only 2 in.
We're only 2 into redoing this thing.
Jesus. All right. Questions. Good Lord. There were a lot of questions coming in all throughout the hour here. So let me scroll back up here.
There are, yeah. I'm actually pretty excited about it.
Let's see here. Again, we had a lot of comments
last chance for donations if you want a wheel spin, want to watch me do an entrance or sing a song, do a dance, any of that.
So I was talking about Tampa taking out Dallas, and Josh said, right, Jeff, I can't believe anyone's going to broadcast an actual murder. But you said the Cowboys are going to be bad. The Cowboys are not going to be as bad as they were last year. And like I said, with any luck, the NFC East won't be as much of a shit show as it was, because, man, was it bad. So, hopefully. Let's see. Here we go. Here's one. Which wrestler do you think can survive a horror movie, and who will be the killer and the final girl/guy?
Big E.
Yeah. Yeah, Big E is...
Because he's going to, because that's actually a thing. The Undertaker and the New Day are in a movie together on Netflix.
Interactive at that, so we decide what's up.
Yeah.
That's tremendous. It's like you put 3 black guys in a horror movie. Why are we being that cruel? Like, why is that happening? Oh Lord. Cody, I did see your comments throughout the hour, and we appreciate that, and we're glad you were able to get through all that. I know it's like I said, times are tough, and we are doing what we can to provide a little bit of humor, especially that last segment.
Yeah.
And Zach, we love you too, brother. I know the house getting destroyed was just awful. It just, ugh. Like I said, everybody's got something. So we're just here to make you chuckle for an hour. So let's see. Greg, how did you become a Notre Dame fan? That's from Chris.
So Chris, my dad grew up a Notre Dame fan, and it's funny because his dad was a massive Penn State fan, but also a USC fan, which I found out later in life. I'm like,
wow,
how did Pap end up being a USC fan and you a Notre Dame fan?
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I didn't start getting into football until about 3rd or 4th grade.
Right.
So when I was about 9 or 10 years old is when I started really getting into football and understanding what it was about. Unfortunately, when I started watching Notre Dame football, it was the team led by Bob Davie and Notre Dame running the option every damn play. So
that's a rough start.
I had to wait a long time into my football fandom till Notre Dame was actually good. Like, I remember the 4-8 season a few years ago. I remember Jimmy Clausen in the 3-9 season. My gosh.
Yes.
I have been waiting a long time for good Notre Dame football, and I'm hoping it's a long-term thing. I really am. I want to see them win a national championship again. They haven't had one since '88, and I was 2 years old. So, like, I want to see it happen.
I was going to say, for the longest time outside of the Notre Dame area, it was Greg and Regis versus the world.
Pretty much.
It's like, he's out of control. Anyway, good question by Chris. And you know what? I'll elaborate. Kevin and Sammy, talk of the world this week. Are they going all elite? Are they going back to Ring of Honor? That was in the ODQ group, actually, because people, go AEW. Dude, those two thrived in Ring of Honor, man. I'd be okay with them going back there, but Ring of Honor is kind of a shit show. So
yeah, Ring of Honor is not. Ring of Honor is honestly kind of forgotten about.
Yeah, which is a shame.
Like, you figure it's like WWE is number 1, AEW is number 2, and depending who you ask, those can be swapped.
Right.
You have Impact Wrestling, who feels like it makes more of an impact than Ring of Honor. You have New Japan.
NWA.
Honestly, I feel like ROH is below GCW even.
Yeah,
like,
and that's a shame.
GCW is doing some insane stuff. They just had Too Cold Scorpio on the show like a couple months ago, and he's still doing backflips like he's wrestling in the 90s. It's like,
I was going to say they are getting national exposure. I mean, Moxley wore their gear the other night at the pay-per-view. He's their champion right now. So, you know, and you've got, him and Gage and Cardona in there. The problem, I think I said this on either Monday or yesterday on Mikey's show. The problem with Ring of Honor is they've been hit very hard, very suddenly by 2 very bad scandals. Early on with the Feinstein thing, and then recently with Marty. So the people in charge of that brand can't seem to keep their proverbial shit together. So, that's hindered the brand. No question about it. Anthony, I honestly, the 8/11 videos I started on my birthday were really more of, okay, I need to have daily content because I needed to get the view count up as I went along here. I have that now. I've got shows every day of the week. So, and as far as me checking in, mental health wise or whatever, I kind of do that anyway on Greg's show, Mikey's show, my show, JJ. Like, I kind of do that anyway. So the need for that show kind of dissipated rapidly. So, Chris says, are there lots of people confirmed for the tournament or not for WTC?
I'll be honest, I've done barely any work on it this last week because I was preparing for Big G's wedding.
Right, of course.
Now that that's over, I really want to wait to announce the tournament until after this next wedding that I'm in about 3-4 weeks.
Right.
So once all of that is done, because I still have another jack of all trades to do. I got some video editing to do because I announced on my Twitter, not that a lot of people checked it out, but it's like I'm putting together a compilation video that's called Every Punishment Ever. I'll let you figure out what that means.
Oh boy.
But that one's going to be a long one, and that's going to be a lot of work to put that together.
Yes. It's not us. These are the actual state laws.
Yeah, these are actual laws. Like, this is not stuff that is made up and like some comedian came up with it and being like, oh yeah. No, these are actual laws that have either been on the books or are still on the books. People legitimately came up with these.
And these were, like I said, these were discussed inside the halls of the legislature amongst elected officials for real.
Your tax dollars at work, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to California again because, man, we are a shit show from jump anyway. So, all right, for the Q&A, what was your favorite part of the draft on Monday, and how is your team looking for its first match this week?
Well, according to ESPN, I had a terrible draft, but I feel like I had a solid draft. I was able to get Chase Claypool in both my leagues.
Nice.
I was able to get him like pretty late on too.
There you go.
I'm very happy about that.
Very cool.
I feel like Chase is going to have a breakout year. He had a good year last year. I feel like with even more firepower on the offense, that he's just going to have another fantastic year. Chase is an incredible talent, an incredible receiver. I'd love to see what he brings. I feel like he's probably so far the closest to replace Antonio Brown because Juju is good, but I think Claypool's better. Just an opinion.
With Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC in a few years, do you think Notre Dame joins a conference?
There's been a lot of talk about Notre Dame joining a conference, especially after last year, especially after Notre Dame made the ACC championship because they had to join the ACC for a year to be able to play any football. I don't know. I'm very much a traditionalist. I like to see Notre Dame being independent. And everybody hates that because it's like, oh, well, they don't play in a conference championship. The conference championship, I'm going to say it right now, is the most worthless thing in college football. It decides nothing.
Nope.
It's like, oh, well, because how many conferences are there and you only have 4 spots? Conference championships don't mean a damn thing. Get rid of them.
Yep.
They're useless. They don't decide anything. It's like, oh, well, this team and this team is – who cares? Nobody cares. Like, even if you're in a conference, it's like, oh, I won my conference championship. Oh, how'd the person who lost the conference championship get in ahead of me? Because that's possible. Like, that's possible with their system. It's goofy. It's stupid. I hate the conference championships. They're dumb.
Yeah.
And look at it this way. Notre Dame lost the conference championship and still made the top 4.
Yep. There you go.
I'm a Notre Dame guy. Do I think they should have been in there after they got their butt whooped by Clemson? No. But they put up the best fight against Alabama that anybody did in the college football playoffs.
Thank God for that. So, 2 questions we're going to kind of probably elaborate on as we go along here the next few weeks. What can save Ring of Honor, in our opinion? And do you see the idea of getting a TV deal? They've got a great setup with Fight. Like, they really do. More people have access to internet than cable TV. So
streaming's the way of the future.
It is.
Don't worry about TV deals unless you're making WWE money off of them. Do the streaming thing and give your fans the access on demand as opposed to.
And I will say this: Dave Marquez made a very good point when he was shooting at Center Stage the other night for his championship wrestling from I think it's Atlanta. They're calling it. You know, yes, you're on a streaming platform, but he tries to encourage his team to shoot it like it's an actual TV show with blocking and the whole setup. So we're getting a TV show. Yeah, we're getting a TV show from these guys anyway. So those are more than okay. All right, I want to get the plugs in. I know we got, like you said, until Dynamite starts. So let me just throw them up real quick. Tomorrow on the Jeff Meacham Network, Star Maker himself, Kenny Bolin. Oh man, does this guy have a lot to say? Holy crud! Tell you what, I'm looking forward to it. Friday in our time slot for Dad's Renegades replay of Batman Returns. JJ and I are going to do that both actually together. And then next week, Paradise Kitty's on the channel for the first time. Looking forward to having the girls on. And then on Friday, both the Dad's show and that night at the Viper Room, the girls are home. I'm looking forward to it. And the week after that, Jack of All Trades is live on this channel, on the Greg Cherry brand, with me defending the Jack of All Trades championship. God help me. Live, which is scary.
All right. Jeff, I thank you very much. Everybody go watch Dynamite.
I was going to say, it's 8 o'clock. You know what that means.
We thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you all next week right here on the Greg Cherry Show. Where is my graphic?
Way the hell up there at the top.
Right here.
There it is. There you go.
Good night, everybody.